Thank you, everybody, so much for taking time for an M&I University. M&IU is an online learning program that's led by industry professionals. We help you stay ahead in the manufacturing world. Our courses cover sales, marketing, supply chain, emerging trends, and more. In 2025, we're focusing on productivity, which is easily one of my favorite topics. So you can join us live like this or access our expert content at your convenience at university.mni.net. But my name is Katie. I'm a lead gen strategist, planning and productivity nerd, and brand ambassador here at M&I. M&I is otherwise known as Manufacturers News. Sorry, I'm just letting more people in. M&I is otherwise known as Manufacturers News. We are America's oldest and largest compiler of industrial data. We connect buyers and sellers through our directories, IndustryNet and IndustrySelect. And most recently, we are so excited and proud about partnering with the Small Business Administration on their new Make Onshoring Great Again portal, their initiative and portal. Before we start talking about building a CRM in HubSpot with my friend Dave Meyer of BizzyWeb, I just have a few requests. First of all, I have the chat box open, so if you do have questions throughout the presentation, please just go ahead and put them into the chat box for us. And I invite you to mute yourselves and turn off your camera so that we can begin. The session is being recorded, and you'll be able to view it under the archive courses on the website or M&I's YouTube channel, but you'll also get an email from Dave and I following the session. So thank you so much, Dave, for taking on another informative session for M&I University. We love working with you and BizzyWeb answering our customer CRM questions. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
Yeah, it's our pleasure, and I'm super excited to be here. We've done a few of these events, and so I'm super excited to work with M&I and the university and Manufacturers News to get the word out about how you can use CRM. So part of my talk today is going to be, of course, talking about HubSpot because that's the CRM that we work in most often. But most of the things that I'm going to talk about today are applicable to any CRM. So if you have a different one, if you're using Salesforce or anything else, as long as you're tracking your contacts, the same thing that I'm going to talk through, or most of the same themes are applicable. So just keep that in mind. And we are recording this, so be sure to go back. And I've got my contact information in a few spots during our talk today. So if you do have additional questions or follow-up, I would love to help you. It is, at the time of this recording, the end of quarter. So if you don't yet have HubSpot, they are getting very aggressive in their pricing. And as a matter of fact, the deal that I talked about with one of our new friends who's actually on the call with us today is now half the price of what it was. So there's all kinds of great opportunities coming up. So can't wait to share that with you. And let's go. So Katie, I think you wanted to start screen sharing because of course what we need to have is your your M&I list. So let's go through setting up a list so that you've got the data and then we'll import it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So some of you who are on this call here are familiar with M&I and IndustrySelect, and some of you aren't familiar with us, but you're familiar with HubSpot. So I'm glad you're here. This is IndustrySelect, what you're seeing here on the screen. This is M&I's prospecting tool. This is a database of U.S. manufacturers. If you want to know more information about IndustrySelect, I do a weekly webinar. I can answer any questions you have. It's a great tool. But the point being right now is that for Dave to be able to do an import of data into HubSpot, you need to build a list first. So our customers know that when you come to IndustrySelect, the two main functions that you work in is going to be either perform a search or build a list. So perform a search is just looking up one company, but build a list is actually where you're going to work through filters to add in criteria to bring back a list of companies. So the filters are along the left-hand side, and I've already entered in some criteria. So I've chosen the state of North Carolina. I've chosen some industrial machinery and wholesale trade durable goods. I chose companies that had 20 or more employees. And I added some executive functions in here as well, just to be sure I'm reaching specific people that I want to talk to. And then when I got done with building the list here, I can actually export it onto a spreadsheet. You can use these automatic tools that will import directly over to HubSpot or Salesforce, but we're really here for HubSpot. And then you can also export the information onto a spreadsheet. And that is where I did this for Dave. Well, I didn't do this for Dave. Dave has exported it, is going to export it on his own. But I've built this list and I've shared it with him. So what I did was I saved the list here and I just gave it a name. And then now that I have it saved, I can come back to my dashboard, go to Save List, and then I see this list that I made for him, and I can share it with him here by clicking on this box here and entering in his email. I can then share it with him, and then it shows up for him on his list in IndustrySelect. So then he can open it and access it from there. So that's just a little bit about how you build a list in IndustrySelect. I'm going to hand the screen over to Dave and let him take advantage of the screen share.
Great. Well, thank
And pick
you
it.
so much,
There you
Katie,
go.
for the list. And I am going to go right in to how we can make this all work. So I do want to back up for just a second and just give a couple of general comments about kind of what CRM is and how it works. And then we'll go from our list and move forward. So of course, when you're starting with a CRM like HubSpot or any other CRM tool where you're collecting information and data, you want to remember to keep all of your information as clean as possible and make sure that you can sort by source because you want to be able to understand, and especially for IndustrySelect, along with your licensing, if you keep your license up, you can keep using that data. But if you don't, then you're going to need to modify that so that you're inside of the parameters of what you agreed to. So marking this as IndustrySelect leads will let you go back and change that if you need to, right? So that's one of the things that I want to cover inside of here. But why do you even need a CRM? You know, a lot of times, many clients, especially in manufacturing, we have our list, we have our spreadsheet, we run emails, and so what? You know, what else do I need? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do in a dedicated system that you can't any other way. So if you're in your CRM, you can see when you contacted that customer last. You don't have to go into your email and search through all of the contacts. If you have multiple sales reps or multiple contacts inside of your company that are interacting with those people, you don't have to collaborate separately and say, hey, when did you send Mary Smith that email about that project? You can just look in the system and see by company, by contact, and by deal when you last interacted with that person. And you have all of the notes, the details, the calls. If you have a fancy note taker like a lot of us do for, online calls, you can record all of that. And then you've got it all in one spot. So there's no more juggling, there's no more task switching, there's just no more confusion about how all of that works and what your relationships are with your clients. This is a good spot for me to point out that we are, of course, accepting questions. So if you have any questions on anything that I'm talking about right now or throughout the rest of the talk, go ahead and log those in the chat and we'll make sure to get through to those at the end. And I'm also setting aside a week from Thursday or 2 weeks from now on the 26th at the same time, we're going to be doing a part 2 of this conversation. So based on your input, your questions, what you want to see at the end of this, we're going to do a next steps conversation, same time, same channel, 2 weeks from now. So as we move forward, then I do want to just kind of highlight that when you're building your database, there's a few things that you want to do. And Katie walked through that very quickly. And I want to talk about the process behind that. So as you're looking at your criteria and you're trying to build a great list, the power of IndustrySelect in particular is that it's a well curated, extremely accurate database. And so with that great power comes great responsibility in that you want to make sure that you're being as focused as you can. So making sure that you look at your actual target criteria on how you're connecting with these people and who your best prospects are going to be. Make sure that you just define that out by industry, by region, by size, and then look at the additional parameters. So once you start building that in, think about the kinds of people that are most likely to do what you want them to do, right? So if you're looking for potential purchasers of your product or your stampings or, insert your service here, you want to figure out who is the best buyer for that and try to connect with that exact role inside of the company. It's probably not always owners, it's probably engineers or maybe architects or, what have you. So thinking about what that is going to make your list that much more powerful. And especially in CRMs, you are going to pay by contact by and large. So you don't want to load up thousands and thousands and thousands because that just sets you up for additional costs, additional complexity, and all of the other things that you need to be concerned about. So once you have your exact list figured out inside of IndustrySelect, then you're going to want to do the data export. And IndustrySelect is actually brilliant at this. I'll do a quick share on how you do that, but there's a button right inside of the downloads that you can just say export for HubSpot, and it's going to give you a properly formatted list. So as we get into this, let's just go in to the correct tab. And I believe I have my IndustrySelect tab open here. It doesn't want me to skip over on here, so I'm just going to go by tabbing. And then, okay, so if we're in here inside of IndustrySelect, I'm just going to go into Manage Databases. And actually, no, I need to go back, don't I, Katie? So I'm going into Saved Lists because Katie shared this saved list with me. So what I've done, and I just have this one list in my account right now, but I'm going to click on it. I have 7 active criteria, continue, and then I can export that into your CRM. So I'm going to click this button in the upper right. I click that, and then right in the drop down, it says right here, HubSpot companies and contacts. So if you have Salesforce and you want to get those as leads, or Salesforce accounts and contacts, or Google My Business in Maps, you can get those as well. But for our purposes today, I'm going to do companies and contacts. When I do that, I'm going to include all executives, or I can select one executive per company. And then I can select only new executives added since if I want to do an update on a list, right? So if I do this list once a month, I could say only updates or only accounts added since the last month. And then I'm going to export the list. But for my purposes today, I'm just going to go right to my beautiful list because Katie was nice enough to create that list for us. So I've got this list, which is, I think it's about 70 contacts inside of here. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that you want to categorize your leads by source so that you can easily kind of keep track of where you got them, especially with IndustrySelect. You want to be able to manage those contacts so that you're within your licensing. So I've added a extra column at the end here for source, and then I've simply typed IndustrySelect. I'm in Google Sheets in this case. This works the same way in Excel. But if I just go like this and I drag this down, and I click here actually, and I drag down to the bottom, it essentially copies that through all of my contacts. So wait with me one moment. Whee! I'm going. Oh my, there's a lot of them in here. We went beyond 70. Uh, so when I click down here into that, I'm at IndustrySelect. And okay, so we've got 536 contacts, which is still fine. So, and because I've got these, I can manage these easily. I'm just going to keep going down to the bottom. I chickened out too early. Here we go.
The reason why you might have that many is because I think, did you choose one record per executive, maybe?
I
That's
choose
how,
all
that might be why.
executives, or I chose all
Yeah.
executives. So,
Yeah. So
um,
you're getting one row per executive. So
Ah,
yeah.
see, which in our case we might want to do, or if I wanted to go back, I could easily do that, but I don't want to go through all of the things or all the steps to recreate that in this case. But just so you know, that can make a big difference as you're doing the import. For our purposes today, I am going to import this list as it stands. And so, or Katie, actually, if you want to do a separate one and just email it to me, maybe that would be easiest, and then I'll
I
take a
actually think
couple of
this is
slides.
better because this is going to
Okay,
go in as this is going to be going in as a contact then. Each
right.
contact has its own
Yes,
card.
thank you. Yes, yep. So we want to do that. Good. See, this is why we're doing this live. Okay, so we're in
Either
here.
would work. Like for me, I go each of my different cards or whatever would be a company, not a
Mhm.
person. So for some people, it would work either way, depending on how you do it.
Right, right. So parse these out carefully. Inside of HubSpot's starter suite, you get 1,000 contacts. I'm about to upload 530 some into this account. So still well within the bounds of what I'm trying to do. In my case here, what I now need to do is I need to go to File, and then I need to download, and I'm going to do as a CSV, and then it's going to download it for me, and then I'm going to skip over to HubSpot. So before I do, I want to go into one more quick thing. When you get started with HubSpot, you do need to get started. So you're going to need to download the software and set up your accounts and all of those things. As of right now, the starter suite inside of HubSpot, which includes marketing, sales, which is the CRM that we're going to talk through today, service, operations, which lets you connect to like your billing system or what have you, and even a website builder is all available inside of one all-inclusive suite. And that starts at $9 per month right now. So that is through the end of the quarter, which is the end of this month. So be sure to talk to me about that because I can get you that special pricing. So if you are interested and you need HubSpot, let's talk so that I can get you set up. There's no cost from BizzyWeb on this. I just want to help you and make sure that you get the best deal. So once you're in here, then you're going to get prompted with the HubSpot Starter Wizard. So there are starter guides for all of the different things that you need to set up. So you're just going to essentially follow the orange buttons all the way through to get your HubSpot set up. So in this case, I am in the sales guide and I'm going to set up the basics. So start tasks. And it's going to walk through with me how to track deals, connect with leads, close deals, and analyze performance. And there's also lots and lots of great training data and basics inside of HubSpot right here. I will note inside of HubSpot that there's a navigation along the left that has all of the different things that you can do inside of HubSpot. And there's also some navigation across the top. So inside of this top navigation, there's if you wanted to make calls, um, explore the marketplace, the settings for things, if you need to change things are inside of here. You'll see this little AI bug a lot all over the place with Copilot next to it inside of HubSpot. HubSpot is a fully AI enabled tool so that you can go in and you can literally ask HubSpot, what are my most active new contacts, and it'll tell you more about those. And also one thing that I do want to highlight here, inside of this tool, you can go in and go into HubSpot Academy. So HubSpot Academy is super, super helpful. And if I click inside of this, I'll actually do a quick click on here. And then if I go to HubSpot Academy, there's all kinds of helpful stuff. So there's getting started guides right across the bottom. And then I can literally search, okay, well, I want to know more about sales. So I click here, Sales Hub admin, managing contacts, the active inbound sales, all this stuff. And if you scroll around long enough, you'll actually see videos by me inside of HubSpot Academy because I'm a HubSpot certified trainer. So that's the overview on how you're going to get started. So next, what we're going to do then, because we have our contacts, and that's what I promised we were going to look at today, is we're actually going to go into contacts. So inside of that space, I am going to need to do a quick little bit of setup. I'm going to go to the gear, and then inside of the gear, I'm going to go to properties, and then I want to look for my lead source property. Because remember, in our document, we filled out a new lead source for IndustrySelect because we want to make sure that we can sort that when we go forward. So going into lead source is going to help us with that. And then I am going to add a lead source as a contact. So inside of here, I've got field type, and then I'm just going to add one more field type option because I've got organic search, social media, email, conference, cold call, networking, referral. You can edit all of these as you move forward, but we want one more for IndustrySelect. So I'm just going to say industry, and I'm going to spell it right, select. And now I've added that, and then I hit the save button. Now my import is going to match. So from there, I'm going to go over and I am going to go into my list, as I mentioned before, and then I'm actually going to go into lists first, and I got to make sure that I'm in the right account because I am demoing a number of different things. And so actually, let me go back to my test account, the podcast that we run. We have a starter account, so I wanted to show this and have it be representative of what you do. And so I'm now going to go into contacts and I am going to import. So in the upper right, I'm going to go to import. So now I've got add your existing contacts, help me get started. If I click help me get started, I'm going to import a spreadsheet. And then it's going to ask me to upload a file with contacts. So I am going to go to my file and go in here and simply grab that list that is pre-formatted for HubSpot. And remember, I added my lead source action at the end, and I added IndustrySelect. I want this to be in English, and I'm ready to go. If you don't have a file ready, you can start with a sample template and then copy and paste your content in separately. But for our purposes, because IndustrySelect is so brilliant and they make it so easy for us, we're simply going to go in and use the pre-formatted template. So now I'm going to click next. And then it's giving me all the different contact properties. And I just need to make sure that these all match what we're expecting. Since this is a pre-formatted built for HubSpot template, all of these should work correctly. So these are all mapped. Name is mapped back and forth. Contact properties, create a contact or choose a property. So name, I'm just going to go name. And we'll go name. Looks like that is company name. So I've got that, and that is properly mapped. Year founded, I don't really need that. If I wanted to, I could create a new property inside of this, but I'm only going to go with the standard ones. Website URL. Source is not here yet, so I've got contact properties, and I want to choose a property, so I'm going to go to source, lead source. So now I have mapped all of my important properties, and then don't import data in unmapped columns. So I don't have data that just has random content in it. But if I wanted every single thing inside of here, I could easily do that. I just need to make sure to go in my dropdown and say what property that is. So I don't have a year founded property in this particular instance of my HubSpot. In some of our accounts and for some of our clients, we do. So you can actually choose or have it create a property to match. For our purposes today, I'm simply going to select next and then give our import a name. And this is the default IndustrySelect name, company's contacts, data, and it gives me all that information. Now it's fine by me. And if you want to give it a more easily recognizable name, what I will probably do is I'm just going to do IndustrySelect HubSpot demo 061225. There we go. I agree that all contacts in this import are expecting to hear from my organization. That's why you're working with IndustrySelect. These are pre-vetted, pre-approved contacts. You do need to make sure for legal emailing opportunities that you're handling these correctly. So that's why you have to click the little checkbox. And then I'm going to finish my import. And now here we go. It has started as my import. And then it's giving me a brief tour of imports because, or of my contacts because I don't have them imported yet. So it is ready. So now if I go in here and I refresh this window, bada boom, all of my contacts are now in here. So I've got all of those contacts that I just put in, and then I can click on this contact to see their contact record. It's giving me a little tour because this is my first time. Manage your properties. In the About This Contact section, you can see properties you chose earlier and add the extra details you need. To edit or create custom properties, click View All Properties. Yes. Next, connect with your contact. So it's giving us, on our first import, it's giving us a tour. And so connect with your contact. There's ways to add notes, send an email to that person, give them a call. With HubSpot, you can actually use HubSpot to dial your contacts and put content into that. So you just enter in your phone number and HubSpot will call that phone number on your office line or your cell phone, and or you can use your HubSpot app on iOS or Android, and it'll actually dial that for you using your phone number. You can select tasks. You can do meetings. If you're familiar with Calendly or something like that, HubSpot has an even more powerful tool that lets you do the same thing. As long as you have either Microsoft Outlook or Google Workspace, you can have a full connection with your email and your meetings and your calendars inside of this tool. So I've now ended my tour inside of here. And as long as we're in here, I'm going to give a little bit more of a promo on what these are. So if you have questions about anything in here, again, as a reminder for our attendees, go ahead and log that in the meeting chat, and we'll make sure to get that back to you. This is a little bit small, so I'm going to zoom in for everyone. And as I look through my contact records and database, I can see Tina has this information. We've got communication subscriptions. If Tina has interacted with us before and given us her explicit consent, that's going to be in here. Website activity. If I have a WordPress website, for example, and I've connected it or added the tracking code from HubSpot into my website, I will see whenever Tina has visited my website and what pages. If I've built webs or HubSpot or I've used HubSpot as my website builder, I can see what pages, what kinds of things they've clicked on, and actually have that tease in to give me an overview or a nudge. It's like, oh, Tina's been visiting my website a whole bunch. I should maybe connect her with a salesperson to say, okay, how can we help you? Because we see that you're browsing through these particular products or services. So super, super helpful. Companies. It looks like Tina didn't have a company when we imported her. Deals, if you create deals inside of HubSpot, which is one of the reasons for building your relationships, and I'll give you a tour of deals in a second. We can go further into that. And then you can do things like tickets. If you have service, if you do punch lists, for example, or if people often call you back inside of runs that you're creating or things as they're popping off the line, or if you have other things, you can run service relationships inside of here. Oh, Lisa asks, Dave, how should we contact you for the $9 a month HubSpot upgrade? You'll be getting an email from Katie that has my contact information, but I also have it inside of here, inside of the deck that I'll circle back to in a second. It's just dave@bizzyweb.com. So just send me an email there. Thanks for that question. Contacts, subscriptions, payments, orders, cards. This is all kind of default. All of these things can be completely customized for your business. And that's part of the service that we do offer. So if you want help getting all of this stuff set up, happy to walk through that with you. And this is all pretty simple. Now, we've gone through the import, which is one of the most important things. Now, if that's okay, I'd like to circle back to the presentation to give you a little bit more about why we should care about HubSpot in general and what we do with CRM. So the rest of my talk here is going to be a tour of what you can do inside of HubSpot. Again, Feel free to ask me all the questions you want as we go through this. This is your time. We are recording this, so it's going to come back. So don't share any personal information, please. But for HubSpot and any CRM, these are the main things that you want to be able to track in the sales function. So you want to manage your contacts. We just imported a brilliant list of contacts that are vetted and verified by IndustrySelect. Companies, all of the contacts or contacts that happened inside of your relationship, inside of that space. Maybe you have a number of different people that you're working with at a specific client or with a partner. You can manage all of those inside of companies, inside of HubSpot. And or if relationships change, we know that people come and go inside of organizations. If that person is logged inside of the company and they leave, you still have all of that information inside of the company record. And you know, okay, well, Mary Smith signed up for this product or signed the contract on this. Her replacement is Jim, whatever, and he's our new contact inside of that. Deals, this is kind of where the magic happens inside of HubSpot, where you're tracking the individual relationships that you have with your contacts. And I'm going to give you a bigger tour of deals in a minute. And then tasks. If you're doing this right, you should be managing and connecting with your clients on a regular basis. I am previewing and demoing the starter version of HubSpot, which has a few limitations against the professional versions, but it is a very different relationship price-wise as far as what you get inside of the starter version, which starts at $9 a month per user, and the professional version, which is the lever that I tell people when you're considering hiring an admin to manage all of these things, then HubSpot Pro services are a much better deal, because instead of hiring someone for, $3, $4, $6,000 a month to manage all in, you could simply add the Pro Suite versions of HubSpot for, on average, the entire Pro Suite is going right now for a little over $1,000 a month. So save yourself that $4,000 or $5,000 a month, have all the information that you need, use the systems instead of just hiring people. So that's kind of that lever. All right. So as we go through preparing or importing your data, we went through this, but I do want to highlight again, you want to prepare your file. You're going into IndustrySelect, you're doing that. You're going to upload into HubSpot using the wizard, cataloging and tracking all of the contacts. You're going to map your fields, and then you're going to review and finalize that data. And then once you're in, you want to be able to manage and track that information in a sensible way. So you can use things like tags and filters, and I'm going to share these in real time in a second. You can go into custom properties, and one of the brilliant things about HubSpot is it lets you customize it to match whatever you need. With great power comes great responsibility. Just because you can add new things to your HubSpot doesn't necessarily mean that you should all the time. And this is where having a guide like BizzyWeb can help you make good decisions that don't spiral out of control. I've seen clients and people that we've helped with HubSpot after the fact that have set up their account, and somehow, I don't know how they did this, but instead of uploading deals when they created new things, it just created tasks. So in essence, they had thousands and thousands and thousands of tasks instead of having contacts and deals, which is very weird. And I don't know how they did it, but we unwound it for them, and it saved them a massive amount of time and effort down the road. You can set up filters, you can do dynamic lists, and now inside of HubSpot with the AI tools, you can actually ask the content or ask the tools, okay, what do I know about this person? Or, when is a good time to contact them? Or help me outline our relationship. And the AI will go through every contact in that company, every deal that you've worked with them, and give you an overview. So incredibly helpful. It's kind of like having Jarvis if you're an Iron Man fan. It'll say, your input is super important, and here's what we're going to do for you, and here's what you need to know. Once you're in your CRM, and again, I'm talking themes now. So this is all CRMs, and I'm going to get into the demo in just a couple of minutes. But when you're in here, when you're engaging with your contacts, one of the important parts of having a CRM like HubSpot is that you get tracked conversations. So whether you're an email person or if you want to live inside of your CRM, as long as you're using either Outlook or Microsoft 365 or the Google G Suite, you can simply send emails. You're going to connect your HubSpot to your emails. And maybe that's one thing that we'll follow up on next week, Katie, or next time, to show you how to connect your Google in my case. So I can walk through those steps and it's very simple. But if you like working in your email, or if you have sales reps that just want to email their clients like always, they can do that. It'll still automatically track all of your interactions so that if you're on vacation, your stand-in can see all of the details and information that you've been working on that deal. You can also limit that if you want. So if you have um, different regions or places or different things that, one sales rep handles all of these things and another sales rep handles a different bucket of information, you can limit all of those so that only the right people see the right information. And depending on your version of HubSpot, you can actually get very granular where you can see, okay, well, this department has access and only the sales manager can see the overall data. So it really depends on your culture, how you manage things. But it does make a lot of sense to just manage the data integrity and make sure that you're keeping all that up. Inside of the more expensive versions of HubSpot are automation options, and I'm going to show you a little bit on that in a couple of minutes. But imagine having a webinar series that trains people on how to use your product or service or getting started. You could automate a follow-up where you would send them the slides right after the event. 2 days later, you could send them a follow-up blog post or a video from your founder or the sales rep. And then depending on what that person does, you could set it into a choose your own adventure style outreach where you're continually warming up and building a relationship with that prospect without your sales team having to do every single thing or manage from lists. And as we know, if you're just working off of an Excel sheet and email, it's almost impossible to keep up with any more than 3 or 4 contacts at a time. So if you manage any more than like 10 or 15 prospects at a time, having a CRM is super, super important. You can prospect out of this with the pro versions of HubSpot. There's actually a brilliant prospecting tool that I'm going to give a brief demo to next time. But for our intents today, you can go in and just prospect and look through, okay, well, what are my active contacts? What are the people that are most engaged? Who are the engagements or who are our clients that we've been working with a while? Check in on a regular basis, certainly on the anniversaries with them, if they have a birthday or if they have, it's been a year that you've been working with us, or it's been 50 years that you've been working with us in some cases. Thank you so much. And we'd like to offer you this extra thing. That's untapped riches right there. Connect with those people because it is so much easier to make additional sales from people who already know and love you than it is to build a brand new relationship from scratch from someone that responds to an email that doesn't know you. All right, so let's get into our demo. And I want to, of course, since I only have one slide left, I think, just the starter platform right now, this is what we're looking at. For 1,000 contacts, Sales Hub, Service Hub, Content Hub, which is the website builder, Operations Hub, and Commerce, which lets you accept payments. It starts at $9 a month. So that's paid annually, of course. It's $15 a month if you do monthly. All right, so let's get into demo because this is way more fun when you can actually dig in. We've gone through the demo. We've talked about contact properties and information. This is our list. This is what deals look like. And this is a demo account, so I'm not sharing any customer data or anything. But inside of deals in HubSpot, you can track everything that your company is up to in the sales function. If you have other sales teams, you can actually manage separate deals. So like a speaking pipeline. I'm a speaker for Google and for HubSpot. And so I have a separate pipeline inside of my accounts where I'm doing this. This is my demo account, so there's nothing in here. But if you had a West Coast and an East Coast team, or a medical devices team and a stampings team. You could track all of those separately by pipeline. So all of this is included in here. You can keep all of your contacts. All of these deal stages are completely customizable. So if you have demo one, demo two, products, scoping, or first trial or free trial and moving people through this, you can do all of that. And importantly, it's super easy to advance deals through stages. So as a sales rep, you can just move people forward and it works like that. Or if you're more of a data person and you want to be able to sort things, you can simply click on that and then you can sort by deal stage, by close date, by deal owner, or even by name. And you can search for other things inside of here. So if I wanted maybe BizzyWeb, because okay, no deal filters or no deals match the current filters. So you can search by your clients, by your contacts, by anything that you want. And you can set up additional views. So if I wanted to set up a view, for example, I could add a view inside of here. I could add IndustrySelect as a deal source and then or as a contact source. And then I could sort by relationship, where I got that deal from, and so on and so forth. So very, very simple. All of these are built inside of here. I actually you can build rules for the pro versions of HubSpot that would require your sales team to add additional data as they progress through deals. Or if you get a payment in, it could actually automatically move that deal to closed one, send the payment request through QuickBooks or through Stripe. And you could do all of this automatically instead of having to go in and call people and accept credit cards and all of that stuff. So very, very, very helpful and important to note. Inside of here as well, we talked through contacts. And so I gave an overview of the contact deals. You can sort by different deals. You can look at performance of how different lists are going. This is again my demo account. You can set up tasks. So you can give tasks to your sales team or to your accounts. You can do tickets inside of HubSpot Service, which would allow you to do all kinds of different fun things on the background, like having a overview or a knowledge base. So if you have frequently asked questions, you could load all of those up. And all of those are available inside of all of these different systems or sections. So inside of the CRM, I've got my contacts, companies, deals, tickets if I have people inside of here. This is a customized thing because this is our demo account. So this is where BizzyWeb plays. So we don't have bikes as part of a common HubSpot setup, but lists, your inbox, everything that's going back and forth, calls that are being made, all of those things are available inside of here. So that's the CRM tab. Marketing, if you send emails to your customers on a regular basis, like maybe a monthly newsletter just to keep your current clients up to date, or if you have specific things that you share with different kinds of contacts, you can sort those contacts by giving them the label, and then you can only send to those kinds of contacts. Lisa says, can I give admin access to one part of my company but not another? Absolutely. You can actually sort and manage the access of people by person. So if you have, there's different tiers inside of HubSpot, and so there's free access that can see the data inside of the account, but you're not paying for an additional seat. Or you can have paid core seats, and those core seats can do things inside of the system, but can't necessarily admin the system and or break anything. Or you can set up full admins. One important thing to note inside of here is when you set up things inside of HubSpot, you can also add a partner admin. And those partner admins, like BizzyWeb, can come in and make those changes, fix things. We don't have access to any of your billing information so that we don't, accidentally add something that you don't want. But we can actually help you manage and maintain your HubSpot without costing you additional seats. So that's a great, great question. And thanks for that, Lisa. All right. So That was marketing. So you can do emails. Worthy of note that social media posting is only available in the pro versions of marketing and higher, but you can manage ads. So if you do Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, you can actually track all of that included in even the starter versions of HubSpot. If you manage events, you can do that. And we do this a lot with our clients. And some of the automated follow-up takes higher versions of HubSpot, but for the most part, we don't need more than that. Forms, if you have a form on your website, that's collecting like the simplest one is the about us or contact us form. If you have a request a quote form, you can manage all of those inside of here, and all kinds of other stuff. And then content, this is slightly different because this is a demo account and it has all of the things. You may have noticed there's a little option right here. If I hover over this, it tells me I can upgrade to that version. So inside of the starter version of HubSpot, and actually let me go back over to my user guide inside of here. Inside of this version, which is our Dial It In podcast, which is a starter suite, Sales Workspace. I don't have Sales Pro, so I can't, on this one, it's just all starter. So the Sales Workspace is not available inside of here. If you opt for a starter, you can see everything that you could do, but there's a little orange flag for things that you don't have access to. And of course, because HubSpot wants to help you, you're welcome to upgrade at any time, but you're not required to. So that's how that works. All right, so I am in tasks inside of here. Yep. So I am still going here. Yep. Okay, good. So I was going through my different things inside of the tour. So I've got my sales workspace, um, target accounts, documents, meeting scheduler. If you are familiar with Calendly or other tools like that, this is how you would set up your meetings and book different things. So if you wanted to book a meeting with me, you could do that. It browses my Google Calendar and only lets you by the rules that I've set. So an in-person meeting, I've set like a minimum of an hour window on either side. For videos, I can set so that people could either choose a Zoom or choose Google Meets or use Teams if I wanted to. That's all customizable inside of here. Commerce is payments. Service, this would be where you would have a help desk or customer success. You can send out surveys to your customers. If you do tickets or have things that you're connecting with people on, also super helpful. Data management, so your data content. If I was going to go in and mess around with things, this is more of an admin level thing, so I'm going to gloss over that. Automations. Most of the automations and workflows are only available in the pro versions of HubSpot and higher, but you can do everything that you need to out of HubSpot manually. It's just how much additional help do you want? Do you want that Jarvis robot in the background helping you, or do you want a replacement for a potential HubSpot admin to do all of that work for you? And then, of course, you can also look at reports. And so there are things like dashboards for reporting, goals, and other things that I can dig into here. So, want to give a little bit of a brief overview because we're getting close on time already. It's zoomed by. So, thank you all very much for the great questions and for the interaction. But I want to share like how some of the marketing things work. So, you can send out email newsletters for free or included in the starter version of HubSpot. That's the $9 a month version. Inside of this, not only can you see how many emails you've sent, the performance of those emails, like our open rates, the click rates, the reply rates, but I can also just kind of keep up with who's interacted. And I can create these emails super quickly on the fly and assign them to specific lists. So you're only sending to people that you want to interact with. This is an example of what that email looks like. We send this out to our customers once a month. So busy news, trending blogs, essential elements of a winning social media strategy, how to get picked up by AI search, should you hire an FTE or a digital marketing agency? Guess which way that one would go from BizzyWeb, but it's super easy. You know, how to rank on Google with people first content and then events. So we have a template that we've created and we send out emails to those people every month. So that's about 3,800 people that we sent out to in the past month. So inside of there. I can manage and track all of that. If people interact with it, I can then go into workflows and I can connect with them. So I do want to show you kind of the overall workflows. This is at the pro level, but for example, if I want to see, I think my webinar workflow. So this is a recent webinar that we did. I can see all of the different things that I did inside of this. So you can track. So people submit a form to register for my webinar. I automatically send them emails. And then if they register, I'm going to send them a reminder in advance. And then if they do or don't attend, I can send them the webinar recording and or a follow-up and so on and so forth and on and on and on. You can be as complex or as simple as you want. Note workflows are absolutely part of the pro version of HubSpot. But again, this is at the tipping point where you would either hire someone to do this work for you, or you would have a system like this to do the heavy lifting. So that's an overview for that. And then you can also manage and edit website pages. So I am in the Dial It In podcast, the starter version again, so that you can see this. This is the homepage for the Dial It In podcast. In order to edit inside of HubSpot, I simply need to click wherever I want to edit, and it's going to give me the opportunities. I'm not authorized. So Lisa, your question about the connection or about giving the access, they haven't given me access to this page because they don't want me messing things up. So I would be able to simply click on this text and change it wherever I was. So we can see all of our different posts. I can edit and update all of those. And if I had the pro version, I could also use what they call content remix to automatically publish an update. So for our latest podcast with Woody, I could automatically send out a Facebook post, a LinkedIn post on my personal LinkedIn, on my other sales reps' LinkedIn posts or LinkedIn pages, on our company page, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram account, all with one click. And the AI hoovers up the information, grabs an image, creates a content and a link, pops all of that out. And that's all available in the pro version where I can manage that as well. And actually, I think we're doing perfect on time. And I want to get through two more things. Again, remember, it's $9 a month a seat for this HubSpot thing. Just go to HubSpot.com if you have more information or connect up with me. And here's my contact information. You can go to hello@BizzyWeb.com or you can send to dave@BizzyWeb.com. So that's the overview. And since we do have a lot of people here, I do want to give us a quick couple of minutes to ask questions live. So I think what I'm going to do is just stop sharing. And that way, Katie, we know that we can stop recording at this point and or stop the publish on the YouTube channel. And so once we have that, for all of our attendees here right now, I want to get your input on what's missing for the 26th so that we can do follow-up. So what else do you want to see? And also, what questions do you have in the last 5 minutes that we have together? So you can come on off
Excellent.
mute. We're not going to record you.
Thanks so much, Dave, for all that. That was so much to cover. Before I turn off the recording, I want to thank everybody who is here on the recording. If questions still remain, please just reply back to this email or reach out to us at that's TECH, @mni.net. Thanks, everybody.